Good morning, viewers. You're welcome to the Adonai Woman channel. I want to appreciate you for your love, your support, and your encouragement. Today, we're going to be looking at the topic Potiphar to prison to prime minister. And we're taking this topic from a Bible story. But we're going to be doing an analysis of the story in relative to the story of our own lives. For those of us who are not used to the Bible, and for those of us who might have forgotten where the story is in the Bible, it's from the book of Genesis 37, chapter 37 to 50. It's a long story, and I believe one time or the other, many of us must have either read it or heard about it or listened to it. But sometimes this week, I just woke up and I felt something else whispered to me. Potiphar to prison to prime minister. Then I started thinking about it. I said, of course, this is the story of Joseph. What about it? So I went back to read the entire story, to read the story. And I began to make an analysis of the story. And what came to me is we've all been to Potiphar's house. We've all been to prison. And definitely, many of us, we still become the prime minister. I'm sure you are going to laugh at this. I don't mean that you want to be the prime minister of a country. No. And I don't mean you are going to go to prison, a real prison. No. And definitely, you won't even be able to live in Potiphar's house, because Potiphar is long dead. When I read through the story again, one first lesson I learned from it is nobody can bring down whom God has lifted up. Jacob loved Joseph and he made him a coat of many colors. When we were young, I remember we used to, coat of many colors, my papa made for me. In those days, going back to history, the dad loved him and he made him a coat of many colors, which was a privilege because not every child would have that. And if you remember your story as a child, for those who are a bit privileged, there's always a special dress for a special occasion. So Joseph was privileged, but he had many brothers. He had 11 brothers. And because these brothers saw the love and the affection of the dad, in one of their outings of tending the sheep of their dad, they decided to kill him. But God, who had a vision, who had a mission for the life of that young man, put it in the eldest brother to say, "Oh, why do you want to kill our brother? Let's not kill him. Let's just throw him in the pit." So Joseph was thrown in the pit. To cut the story short, he was sold out, and he ended up in the house of Potiphar. When the grace of God is in your life, know it. The devil will try every possible best to pull you down. And that was what happened to this young man in the house of Potiphar. He was lured into sin because of the love his master had for him, but it did not fail. But if somebody gets you in trouble, it doesn't mean you are not going to go to prison if care is not taken. There are several people in prison today, not because whatever uh, sin they were accused of, not because they did it, but they've just been victims of circumstances. And that was the story of Joseph. I don't know what stage of your life you are. I can't even imagine if you have just been sentenced for what you did not commit, for an accusation you are not guilty of. But believe me, if you are a child of God, or if you are willing to surrender to the will of God, you will get out of that trouble. When I read this story, it says that there is a more serious penalty for somebody who would commit a sin of adultery. But because God loved Joseph and he made Potiphar to love him, he reduced the punishment. So he was sent to prison. And this is going to, what I'm going to say now is going to be my next topic, which is talent. Even right there in prison. In prison, many of us, as as soon as there's a little difficulty, we go off board. As soon as there's a problem, as soon as there's a negativity, we begin to question. Now, I won't move forward. I won't do this and I will not do that. Why? Always remember the story of this, the story of Joseph, right in prison. His gift of interpretation of dreams, he used it. He did interpret the dream of one of the prisoners. He did interpret the dream of one of the sorry brother. He did interpret the dream of one of the prisoners. And because he did, I told him he'd be out of the prison. One day, after many years, the prisoner who was now a free man remembered him. Pharaoh had a dream and he was summoned to interpret. And that was what changed his life completely. Thinking about this story, I see that we have different stages of our life. As youths, as young people, we're in our father's house, we're with our siblings, everything looks good. The holidays are there, Christmas is there. But as we continue to grow, something is going to change. We leave the beauty of our dad's house, and we're out there trying to survive. Trying to get on with life. And of course, we never know what will happen. And you may find yourself in the pit, in quotes. You may find yourself sold to slavery, in quotes. And sincerely, you may find yourself in Potiphar's house. And your Potiphar's house is that stage of your life when you'll be tempted with sin. It's a complex world today. Everybody is hustling. Everybody wants to succeed one way or the other, whether through the legal or illegal means. There's a rush out there. But my beloved, Are you going to fall into sin because of whatever? Are you going to fall into sin because you are looking for a child? Because you want to get married? Because you want to be rich? Because you think you are the poorest around your siblings? I want to encourage you and to advise you. You don't need it. You don't need it. At the end of the tunnel, there is always a silver lining. Remember, this is a channel of hope and of encouragement. And if you refused not to go into sin, if you stand your ground in the face of adversity, if you are determined, you will become a prime minister. I mean, you will weather it all. Your life will change. Please go back to read the story. Please analyze your life into those stages. Prison, to prime minister. Potiphar, to prison, to prime minister. And whatever stage of these three analogies you are, either you are in Potiphar's house, or you are in prison already, or I mean, you are a prime minister, in quote. You have a good job, you have a good family, everything looks good, life is on your side. Always appreciate God. Be determined not to sin. It's hard. It's hard. But I know. And I'd like to encourage you that if you are determined, like Joseph, not to fall into sin, if you can exercise your talents, some of us, we allow our talents to die with us. All my life, when I say all, the point when I became an adult and I could do things, even before I became an adult, I've always been determined. Determined to succeed, determined to make it in life.